Hello and welcome to the second teaching here on the question, who is Jesus, using the Arabic English Bible here. And let me begin by saying that the question, who is Jesus, is really a question that fascinates a lot of people. It's certainly something that Christians throughout church history have looked at, and the early church councils were trying to figure out how best to describe and define who Jesus is. But I've noticed that also a lot of non-Christians are interested in Jesus, and people who are members of other religions are interested in Jesus, as well as secular people and people who do not believe in God. And so again, my hope is that also for people in the Arabic speaking world and among Muslims, there's certainly an interest um, in discussing the question who Jesus is, because Jesus is mentioned in the Quran as a prophet and respected as a prophet. And so our text here also points to that, and I would argue at the same time points to something bigger. So this is from the Gospel of Matthew. And then we are in chapter 21, and I'm going to read the story of the entry into Jerusalem, where Jesus sends his disciples to get a colt, like a young donkey, for him to sit on. And then in verse 6, we read, "And the disciples went and did as Jesus commanded them, and brought the ass and the colt and put on them their clothes, and they set him thereon," as a way of honoring Jesus. Verse 8, "And a very great multitude spread their garments in the way." So it's not only the 12 disciples who are honoring Jesus, but it's the multitude who is also very enthusiastic about greeting him and welcoming him into their city and into the city of Jerusalem. Um, so again, in verse 8, "Others cut down branches from the trees and strawed them in the way. And the multitudes that went before and that followed cried, saying, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest." So here we have already a proclamation, a judgment, I guess you could say an opinion about a certain population segment that believes that Jesus is the Son of David, meaning he's the promised king in the line of David. Of course, David lived many hundreds of years, um, around 1,000 years before Jesus. So he's not the direct son, but in the biblical language, son here could mean great, 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 great grandson, right? Someone in the line of David. Verse 10, "And when he was come into Jerusalem, all the city was moved, saying, Who is this? 11, "And the multitude said, This is Jesus, the prophet of Nazareth of Galilee." So here we have different segments of the population, and we've got those who are enthusiastic and who are proclaiming him as the son of David, who is the one who comes in the name of the Lord as the promised Messiah. I guess you could say, even though Jesus didn't use that title, and there were different expectations toward that title. Um, but then, of course, there are also other people in the city who are like wondering, what's all the noise about? Why are we having all this movement in the street? Why are they welcoming this person and honoring him, putting down their clothes so he can ride into the city? Um, and so some people were asking that question, and then they get the answer again from some people. This is Jesus, or especially the multitude. The multitude, it seems, who is welcoming him as the son of David, they recognize him as more than a teacher, which was one of the ways that Jesus was known. So they now welcome him not as just as rabbi, as teacher, but as the son of David, and also as a prophet. And I really want to zoom in on verse 10, the question, who is this Jesus? Like I said, I feel like it's a question that many people are asking. Uh, Muslims, Hindus, Christians, agnostics, atheists, secular people. A lot of people are asking this question: who is this? And I think it's a uh, great encouragement in a way for all of us to observe that in the scriptures, in what we call the New Testament here, in the Gospels, of which there are four in the New Testament, specifically here in the Gospel of Matthew, and there's a parallel passage to that in the Gospel of Luke. The text gives us this question. So the people, or certainly a segment of the people in the city of Jerusalem, are asking, who is this? Who is this man? And so looking back at the teaching I gave last time, the first in this series, remember, it was the disciples who asked that question because they were on this boat crossing the lake. There was this massive storm, and then they were fearing for their lives. But Jesus stands up and is able to calm the storm just by the power of his word. And so then they asked this question, who is this? Who is this man? Who is this person that even the wind and the waves obey him? How is it even possible that he has authority over creation, something that normally only God would have? And here now we have an answer from the multitudes that he's a prophet and he's the son of David. So he again he's more than a teacher. Certainly, he's greatly respected. Um, and of course, we have the prophets of the Old Testament who also performed miracles. So there is some parallels here that both the prophets in the Old Testament or in the Hebrew Bible and Jesus were mighty in both word and deed. And that's certainly something we observe in the life and in the teaching of Jesus, that he had amazing things to say, and he also did a lot of amazing things. And that's why this question, who is this, I think is one that invites us to think deeper and to say, maybe he's more than a prophet. And I leave you with that thought, and we'll be talking more in the next round. Thank you so much.